is an afternoon panel, and I feel so lucky again to have these wonderful people who have contributed greatly to their community in such individual ways by creating publicly visible gardens, including the community in those gardens in ways that the community learns and benefits and gets involved, and ownership is created in a part of the community that is so special and so impactful to the entire neighborhood. So we're going to get into detail about these projects and why we care about them, frankly, and possibly even how some of you can replicate those projects in your own communities and find opportunities to do something similar. I'm going to introduce each panelist, and each panelist is going to do a very brief introduction of their project, and then I'll introduce the next panelist. And then after all four panelists have talked about their project, we'll have a panel discussion to get deeper into that conversation, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. Suzanne actually would have loved me to just introduce her by using her quote and ending it right here. I am a compulsive gardener. That's her entire, but I made her write a little more, so I'll read the rest. She's been a member of the Compulsive Gardeners class at the Arboretum for approximately 20 years, an Arboretum volunteer, member of the Sierra Madre Garden Club, originally formed in 1929, and is affiliated with the California Garden Clubs. She's been involved in coordinating and organizing the club's fundraising, plant sales, propagating and planting all year long, as well as fundraising for Sierra Madre community garden related projects. She happily retired to Sierra Madre in 1995 after spending 25 years in Alaska. When working in Alaska, especially during the winter months, she would often sit in meetings and visualize spending her days in a garden in warmer weather. She is living the dream in Sierra Madre, and I really end it with her quote again: I am a compulsive gardener, which threads through the whole way. Suzanne Haller.
Thanks. I'll try to keep this brief. I broke it out into a few categories. First, I'll just talk about the community project in Sierra Madre, who made it all happen, the budget, the funding, and all the fundraising we had to do, the timeline and the PR, and just a few general comments. I think if any of you were here this morning, you saw James Carlson, and there were a lot of photos of Sierra Madre. Are you showing pictures of Sierra Madre? You will, okay.
In this reel, we'll see some pictures of that.
Sierra, this was back in 2012, 2013, and we were really facing a water shortage in Sierra Madre. And so City Hall decided to let all of the grass die. I think they got reimbursed for having some of the grass taken out. I think it's about a 6,000 square foot area. The grass just died. So then that kind of focused on how are we going to redo it, how are we going to landscape it. And the goal kept in mind the whole way through was we needed to involve, inform, and educate and inspire the community. So that's what kept us on track. We had to make it a learning experience, and we had to make sure that the people in Sierra Madre could relate to what was being done at City Hall and hopefully do it in their gardens. And one of the questions, I can remember being one of the first meetings with Cassie, she said, what will Sierra Madre look like in 2050? And the answer depends in large part on the landscaping choices we make right now. And that was hard to focus on at that time, but I can see how it was so right. Who made it all happen? First of all, City Hall, we had the assistant city manager really behind us, the public works, James Carlson, who was here this morning. The city council, they were behind us. We got money from Montanovich, from the the San Gabriel Valley Water District, the Community Foundation, community members, the Girl Scouts, and of course the Garden Club. And as they mentioned, Cassie mentioned, the Garden Club was founded in 1929, and we have about 40 members, and there's about 7 or 8 of us that really are active members. So it took a lot of work. Also, Glenn Putnam, who was the president of the Garden Club, knew Cassie through working at Showcase House as a docent. So it's just amazing how things can work by where you are and who you meet. And it was through Cassie and Form LA that they came up and they agreed that they would do the design. They led the project from start to finish. They were at all of our meetings. They battled with City Hall, that's for sure. But they were with us every step of the way and just really, really pushing us. On the funding and the fundraising, City Hall came up with a budget of about $40,000, and we knew that was going to be a lot of $2 and $3 plants that we sell. So what we did, we had plant sales, but also getting the money from the supervisor and from the San Gabriel Valley District, and so that really, really helped. We also decided to sell memorial bricks, and that was just a huge blessing. We had just 8x4 size bricks, and we arranged for, there were several hundred of them that were planted, that were put in right at the entrance to City Hall. And we sold those to anybody who would buy one. But I'll back up for a minute. The first plea that the city sent out to the homeowners, they sent it out with a water bill, which was not really smart because they were saying they were telling us our rates were going up, we had conservation targets, and we better not go over them. And on the other hand, there was a flyer in there saying, please donate so that we can re-landscape City Hall. So it took a lot to get over that. It also wasn't a breeze raising money. I mean, a lot of people were very happy to do a brick for their grandmother, the grandfather, or a great friend. But there was just a lot of animosity, and primarily because of the timing. I don't think that would happen now because we've all got used to the water restrictions. But I can tell you, we raised that, and we also sold benches. We have installed 6 benches, but we've made sure that everyone who made a donation has been recognized, whether they donated to a certain section of the garden or whether it was a brick or a bench. There's a plaque on there. And it's amazing. You see so many people coming through and checking out where their item is. And if anybody gets into trying to raise money, I can't encourage that anymore. And let me see here, just bear with me for a second. And also, I mean, our fundraising, the Garden Club plant sales, my great fundraisers, Ralph and Barbara Crane from Northridge, they donated just cuttings. Every Friday at the Comulsives class, they would show up with a trunk load of cuttings or plants. Plus they gave me, loads of supplies and nursery benches, so they've been great. Also, we ended up, once we got started, and I'll cover the PR, once we got the local newspapers on board and working with Danielle and others, running some human interest stories and getting photographs, that really, really helped. And people really started to get on board. This definitely didn't happen overnight. We began May of 2013. We had our first meeting at City Hall. Debbie and I were there. We met with the mayor, and someone's first suggestion was, why don't we just have the residents bring in any plants and shrubs they don't want, and then we'll figure out where to put them. I mean, and it was just a nightmare. So we're just really grateful to Form LA and Glenn Putnam and Cassie. Then a year later, in September of 2014, it was finally approved by the City Council. And in January 2015, we began doing all the fundraising. And the city employees, what the city committed to do was to use their employees to do a lot of the irrigation and the electrical work. And that also helped the city employees learn new irrigation techniques, and they learned a lot through the whole process too. So it really was a win-win. Then in August of 6 months later, we had a dedication and demonstration day, and Cassie arranged for a speed learning workshop where we had Theodore Payne, the Water District, Netafin, all these different agencies come in and talk to all the residents, anyone who showed up, about what to do and how to do it. Then 3 months later, we had a planting day, and we had hundreds of plants. They were all placed by Form LA designers, and we had 75 or 80 people from the community all show up. It's just amazing. Little tiny kids, people that were 80 and 90 years old. And it really, and you see now, you see the kids coming back to see the plants and the shrubs that they help plant. Then in late December 2015, we installed the bricks. And then 2017, November, we had our 2-year anniversary, which was really, really well attended. The gardens look great. I don't know, how many people have seen them? They really are worth seeing. They're right on Sierra Madre Boulevard. They are built around the fire station and the police station. There are 7 different gardens. There's a permeable area, bioswales. There's a whole section of lawn alternatives, edible garden, rain garden, wildlife garden, chaparral, picnic area, benches, and there's a bridge. And it's really a learning experience. And the one other wonderful thing, if you get involved, make sure everything is labeled and identified. And we have display boards that Form LA has done. It's amazing. You see people all the time with little notepads, just what's growing. And the gardens really, really do look good. It's, I think, beyond a lot of our expectations. Also, there's a lovely retirement community right across the street. And almost daily, you see all these people in wheelchairs and walkers being walked across the street to go through these gardens and enjoy them. It's perfect timing for Sierra Madre. I mean, it took us 5 years to get where we are now. But, you know, when you look ahead to 2050, I mean, I think we've made a great start. But thanks in no small measure. And of course, Debbie Mosier's here also from the Garden Club. She was spearheading it. But Form LA, they were the ones that really, really made it happen. So we feel blessed. We really do.
Well, thank you. We love the garden.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with sort of a recurring theme that we're using natives in all of these public gardens. And I'll start off with you, Suzanne. Why is having authentic foliage important in our public realms?
Well, I think we need to be sensible. I mean, we need to garden where we are. And I think we've all got used to having these big, lush gardens, and we need to have appropriate, authentic, what's growing well in this garden, in this area, what should be grown.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a new mindset, and it takes time. Mm-hmm. As you walk around Sierra Madre now, you see a lot of gardens are really trying. Mm-hmm. And I think after this dreadful summer, I think we'll see a whole lot more coming this fall. I really do.